This video is sponsored by Soulmask. Thank you to them for sending me the new Shifting Sands DLC, which is coming April 10th on Steam. Soulmask is a survival sandbox game with an ancient civilization theme. It has pretty favourable reviews on Steam since it released in early access in May 2024, but it will be leaving early access with the release of the Egypt-themed DLC on April 10th. Unfortunately, despite survival games being my job, I entirely missed it until now. I'm not sure how. It sold quite well and multiple of my friends already own it. I might just be stupid. Anyway, today we get to fix that in the new Egyptian mythology themed Shifting Sands DLC. Let's jump in. Soulmask of course begins with the classic collecting your basic resources like plant fiber and stones, although while I was doing it I did find what I think is a coconut crab, which I think is pretty cool, and then I cut down a tree. With my basic resources I made myself a spear, a shield and some basic tools, and started to fight the starter enemies on the first island. The first fight went pretty well in my favour, as did the second fight. At this point I tried out the Celestial Wings power, and basically in Soulmask you get a mask which gives you a bunch of powers, and the first power you have here is Celestial Wings, which allows you to fly around, which is really useful for probably obvious reasons. At the very start of the game you seem to get like a little grace period where it doesn't take your mask's energy, but later on you do have to use resources to keep this going basically. I collected some more plant fibers and made myself a vine whip, which I found mildly amusing and then apparently never used again, and then built myself a thatch boat. I headed out to the first island that the game recommended I check out after the first one, harvested up a pig, fought some locals, one of whom had a massive hammer, and got the first mask upgrade, the tribesman recruitment upgrade. This allows you to basically fight the people you find throughout the game, get them to half health, and then recruit them to your tribe. They will then follow you around, as I got this one to do, and fight other people for you, but they can do other stuff we'll get into in a second. I did the same thing to the next guy, and then did the same thing to a third one, and then realized I could actually play as them, which was pretty cool. I switched back into myself though, because I'm better, and then all four of us jumped this one per master warrior. I headed down to the beach to build myself a base because my followers were complaining about not having food and stuff, so that made sense. I gave them axes and they actually collected resources for me, which was cool. And then I went on the hunt for a scout who would give me some map information. You basically use the same mechanic as the recruitment system, and that was really useful for knowing where all the loot is, basically. I went back to where I had left my followers and built an actual house and started assigning jobs to my followers. I gave my first follower the job of logging, and she ran off into the woods to go collect wood for me, and then I told her to convert the wood she gathered into planks at the carpenter's workbench. That is some very basic automation. I then went exploring and found the ancient Egyptian pyramid nearby, which requires some sacrifices to summon what I imagine is a boss, judging by what was in the trailer and, you know, sacrifices being what they are. But I don't have any of that right now, unfortunately, and I was more interested in the shipbuilding at this point, so I hopped into another world and built myself the mid-tier ship. I forget the name of it, I think it's called the Falcon something, and I built the stock version, but then I built myself a custom version. Using all of my free will, I decided to fill it with flamingos, a flamingo coop, a throne, and some seats at the front, to create, of course, what everyone needs in a game like this, a flamingo bus. And you can see the outside of it here is very attractive. I'm sure no one has ever built anything better in this game ever. Truly a terror of the night skies, complete with a gangway. But honestly, you're probably gonna see much better airship designs from the trailers, because I just don't know what I'm doing when it comes to airship design. So you'll probably see various clips throughout this little gameplay trailer I'll play here. Now, if you've played Soulmask before, you might be wondering what's changed since you last played, other than of course the Egyptian DLC. And basically since early access, this game has had improvements in its systems and game modes. There's now a tribe mode, which is focused on base building and tribe management, if that's more of your interest and you're less interested in survival. But there is also a survival mode, which is classic survival survival sandbox stuff. That's what I was playing in this video. And there is hero mode, which is a more combat oriented playthrough if that's your vibe. The tribe management was something I was genuinely quite surprised by the depth of. You can assign roles and jobs to tribe members, and you can even have automated production lines. You can train their talents. You can fully build them up as if they were basically your player character and customize them. In my world, I named my 3 followers Prima, Secunda, and Tertius because I'm deeply unoriginal, and if you don't get that, I basically named them 1, 2, and 3 in a really pretentious way. And I never got to this step for this video, but apparently you can also do base defense mechanics with these tribes members and long distance resource transport systems. But that's enough telling you what's in the update. Let's jump back in and see what else I got up to. So I continued playing up until the point where the game tells you to make a wooden boat, which is the first proper ship building you gain access to in the actual survival mode. I built that and then got myself some beast hide armor and some bone weapons. The reason I did this is because the game told me that if I wanted to take on that boss fight we hinted at earlier, I would need to take down or whatever their name was, at one of the camps it had marked on my map, and it recommended that I had at least bone and beast hide gear. So I got all that and then set off on my ship alone to the new island. These enemies were very tough. I was probably severely under-equipped, but you know what? I just said, screw it, let's just try and do it anyway. I whittled a few down and then used my recruitment ability on them and then left them in a little corner to wait, so that after an extensive amount of time fighting the enemies at this gate, I would have some backup eventually. I fought these guys for hours and hours and hours trying to get in, but I was just so under-equipped, but I was determined to at least try with the gear I had, and eventually the guys I had recruited woke up and were ready to fight. But I did have to dismiss my original followers when I did this, but I don't really care. With their help, I was able to penetrate deep into the actual barbarian camp. I was continuing to recruit the people I was fighting, one because it ends the fight faster, but also if any of my current followers died, I would have some backups. And this was just absolute carnage. It wasn't helped by the fact that my guys looked exactly the same as their guys because I recruited them from them 5 minutes ago. But it was really funny seeing all the different weapons and their abilities and stuff being used on me. Eventually, we made our way up to the central area, not the end area, but the central area where there's a mini boss fight with a barbarian elite who was absolutely kicking our asses. But eventually we did take her down. As this fight continued and we were being peppered by ballistas, I think, you can see our armor is physically degrading. It actually has model related to its durability, so if you take more damage and it has low durability, the armor actually has holes and stuff in it, which is pretty cool. And you can see that we're all starting to get really low on armor, and eventually it even gets so bad that my followers are running around completely naked and unarmed, just punching their way through this camp. We were very slowly whittling them all down, and I was trying out the bone whip at one point because my spear had broken, and I didn't really think to bring replacement materials because I'm gonna be honest, this was a very impulsive decision. I did manage to loot their central room. I don't think I got anything hugely useful from it, certainly nothing that would help in this fight. Eventually we made it to the end where I found the, I guess, mini boss of the barbarian, and he pretty much insta-killed me because all my weapons were broken, all my armor was broken, and he's a boss. I mean, what do you expect? So I was not able to get his item that you need for the main boss fight, and that was just where I died, and I decided to end the playthrough there for now. I'm probably going to be playing this some more when the DLC officially releases on April 10th, and if this game interests you, you can check out the link in the pinned comment to wishlist it. Or you can even just jump into the base game experience right now if you just can't wait. Thank you to Soulmask for sponsoring this video, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.